Back on Inside Tennessee with Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler. Mike Cohen.
Yeah, Sheriff, the jail is often described as the biggest mental health facility in East Tennessee. You've got an awful lot of people in there that need treatment. Can we address jail overcrowding by finding another way to treat those people? And I'll give you one idea. At-large Commissioner Justin Biggs has talked about the possibility of securing one of the buildings at St. Mary's, maybe in cooperation with the city, and creating a somewhat secure psychiatric facility so you could move people out of jail to that. Is that realistic?
I don't know why it wouldn't be. I think any idea at this point is realistic, and any idea needs to be certainly looked into, and I think we have to take that time. I think our last count yesterday was we had right around 60, I think it was, mental health patients, inmates within our facility. That's not where they need to be. We're not professionals to take care of those, and I don't think that we want to get into that profession. I don't want to step on the toes of the psychologists and psychiatrists, and that's where they need to be. The jail does nothing, as far as I'm concerned, but aggravate their situation.
And what about people that need to be treated for addiction?
Our programs, or we have programs initially when they come in there, some of the programs that they have to be in there for a certain length of time, so some of the inmates that may be in there for 10 days or something under those addictions, if you will, and what have you, may not be able to get into one of our programs. But what we're making sure of is that we have the ability and the information to send those inmates somewhere when they do get out of our facility, to make sure that they go and look for that help there.
And even with all those efforts, do you anticipate, when it's budget time in Knox County this year, asking for the money to build an additional pod, which is what, $30 to $40 million?
Something like that. I'm sure that we're going to entertain it, at least put it in there. Now, whether or not how far that goes, I'm not sure. But you know, we've got to talk about it, and we'll see what happens with that. So I hate to say that we go to the taxpayers and say, hey, we need money for this, because I know how that is. And but we've got to do something, and we're going to work on it very diligently.
There seems to be a number of less expensive solutions than a new $40 million pod.
I'd love for us not to be overcrowded, period. I'd love for our jail to have nobody in there, so to speak, but you know, if we have to have people in there, I'd love for it not to be overcrowded. What I do want to say is that, in my professional opinion, our jail is not being run unconstitutionally, but there are some things that probably need to be addressed.
Do you have some inmates who should be in state custody at this point? You have too many.
Absolutely.
So the state is basically sort of shifting a burden back upon the county.
Well, they're paying the county for those.
We are getting paid, as Don mentioned. We are getting paid for those, but what's happened, the state is overcrowded to a point they can't take anybody. So it's not just Knox County that's having a problem. It's jails all across the state of Tennessee, and we're all dealing with it. When I was in the sheriff's new sheriff's school that was 2 weeks long, we had 1 week of nothing but corrections, and every agency that was represented in there was anywhere from 80% to 112%.
When you talk about the jail, Sheriff, we hear a lot about recidivism. Your predecessor was often fond of saying 5% of the people that we come in contact with make up about 25% of the costs. Does that hold true with you? Is recidivism still very high, the swinging door, the revolving door?
We still see some of the same people, and some of them still coming back. That number, I'm not going to say right now, just 4 months into my term. I wouldn't have a number on that. What we will do is come probably around April or May, look and see what number we've had since we've come in, to see if it is about the same or something. But yeah, that recidivism is probably going to be about the same.
What about the BHUC? You've been in office now for a handful of months. What's your impression in terms of whether that's making a difference that helps you out as the person who has to oversee the jail?
Well, I think you're going to see that it does some. I think with the number of beds, I think that's kind of what everybody sees out there, with 14 to 16 beds, depending on how many they have in there at the time. Is that helping? The thing about it is, it's not just in there for 3 days. It's got to continue on for anywhere from 120 to 6 months outside of that facility. I think that what that has done is put a Band-Aid on us, but we've got to get a bigger Band-Aid, if you will, to start making sure that we get the people in there that need to go there. I know the numbers within the sheriff's office are transported are a lot lower than the cities, obviously because of the demographics of things, but I don't think that's where the issue's at. I think the issue is making sure that we get the right people in there and get those people the treatment, because those people going there certainly don't need to be going to our jail.
3 days won't do it.
No, sir.
Sheriff, you're new at your job. We have a county mayor who's new at his job too. How are the two of you working together, and does he understand the challenges you face? Is he trying to find ways to help you?
He is, and we're working greatly together, and I greatly appreciate that. And I want to say too, we're working great with Eve Thomas, Chief Thomas over at KPD, and you know, the relationship within the law enforcement community within Knoxville and Knox County, I think, is very good.
Sheriff, maybe one last question about the jail, and I know this is a sensitive subject because it is involved with litigation, but would you be open to in-person visits by family of 2 inmates with, of course, appropriate security like it used to be, versus solely video visitation, which frankly has not been very successful for the jail, at least before you took office?
I'm not going to entertain it until I can get enough staff to look into it. If I've got enough staff, we'll certainly entertain it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Don, I'm not going to do that. But what I will tell you is if I can get enough staff to make that happen, we'll certainly look into it and see if it's feasible for us to do. I want to make sure that the inmates feel like that their families are being able to talk to them, but I also know that it's not only just I keep saying a safety issue, because it's a safety issue to be able to move an inmate in and around that facility to get them where they need to go. But I won't sit here and tell you absolutely not.
And I appreciate the law enforcement perspective, but again, with 70% of the folks that are being held pre-trial, and with the system, the Securus system, often failing, and I've had clients where that literally has happened. Most of the clients that I have stay at length in your facility are federal holds that come over, but many jails manage this problem very effectively, and our jail, your detention facility, was built to accommodate those kinds of visits. So it's a big problem that many of us are concerned about the humanity involved with the visits and the ability for family to effectively visit.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee, back with more from the sheriff and about the opioid crisis, the influence it's having.